Right, let's move on to the Oscars. The Western, The Power of the Dog and the British 1960s drama Belfast, they are leading the nominations for next month's Oscars. Jane Campion and Kenneth Branagh will vie for Best Director, along with Steven Spielberg for West Side Story. Will Smith is up for his first Oscar for his role in King Richard. Let's take a look at that film that is the front-runner, The Power of the Dog.
Pardon me. They're just as real as possible. Now, gentlemen, look, see, that's what you do with the cloth.
Benedict Cumberbatch there in Power of the Dog. Let's bring in Julia Alexander, Senior Strategy Analyst at Parrot Analytics. And we've brought you on because we want to talk about the kinds of films that we're seeing nominated. How do you think they've changed through the pandemic?
Well, I think to start, we actually have to go before the pandemic. If we look at kind of theatrical attendance per capita between 2000 and 2019, especially in the United States, the types of movies that people are going to theaters for actually fall under three categories, as I call the three S's: scaries, superheroes, and sequels. The drama movies that we see at the Oscars have slowly started moving to streaming, and then suddenly, very quickly, they're on streaming services. So these movies that we're talking about, Power of the Dog, for example, that is a Netflix exclusive. And that was something we didn't really see before the pandemic and very quickly came up. And that's because that's where the audience is for those movies.
So are you saying the indie films, the drama films, they weren't getting a look in at the theatre houses because the movie companies were spending so much money on the scaries and the superhero type films?
The demand for those movies has changed. If we look at kind of the value perception of what you need to get out of a theater, it's technology that you can't have at home, which is IMAX. And it's movies that you feel like you have to see immediately. That's Spider-Man, that is not necessarily Power of the Dog. Now, that does not mean demand for those movies has gone away. It's still there. We can see that demand for those movies is still there. But the value perception has changed. As we've seen over the last 20 years, where the best storytelling is really happening almost on television, people are inclined to say, I'm getting exactly what I need at home on my really good TV set with my really good soundbar, and I'm paying, $15 a month for Netflix. Why do I need to go to the theater for that, especially during a pandemic, when I can go to the theater for a movie I absolutely need to see in theaters?
Yeah, I must admit, the better movies I've watched recently have been on Netflix. Power of the Dog is a good example. And when I look at what's on at the cinema, I don't feel there's as wide a selection as there used to be. Am I wrong?
No, but look at the return on investment. The vast majority of movies that are being made are that are making money are big blockbusters. If you look at the 52-week calendar window, really 24 of those weeks goes to Disney for all their movies that excel in the first and second weekend. That's a really tight, packed schedule. So if you're a studio and you want to make these movies, but it's getting harder to distribute, you actually go to Netflix, or Amazon. The way I think about it is these streaming services, now including HBO Max and Disney Plus and Hulu, these streaming services are the new wide release. Instead of having to get people to go to theaters during a pandemic when it's really hard to release those movies, you can put it on streaming and it's immediately available to 200 million subscribers. And when it comes to the Oscars are taking notice and saying, we're going to meet audiences where they are.
Yeah. Julia Alexander, really nice to talk to you. Thank you very much for that.